worldviewtalk.com. Don't wait until the lights go out. Worldview Talk. Stay connected, stay protected, stay ready.
On Title IX appropriated rights. I think that has been a twisting of the law that the left has been imposing, mostly through cultural means, sometimes through political means. Donald Trump's all
Welcome to Vox Populi News. This is the second episode of the Islam question and answers. I'm your host, Farrah Prudence, and I have the amazing producer on Vox Populi News, Miss Aynaz Anni Cyrus. Welcome back to the show, Aynaz. Hello.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, thank you. You know, our first episode went so well. We have a ton of questions, and we're picking questions based on really first come, first serve. And we're going to get to everybody's question, and we're going to do it in a systematic way. And we may not use your name for the question, but if multiple people ask the question, we're going to use the name of the first person that asked it. But understand that it's directed to everyone. So before we start, I want to remind everyone, if you have any questions, send us an email at submissions@voxpopulinews.net. You're going to see it down here in the tab, submissions@voxpopulinews.net. The first question is deception, lying, and taqiyya. Does Islam permit Muslims to lie to infidels? If so, why? If so, is this widespread? Okay, so I want to read this one hadith for Aynaz. And the hadith is number 297. And I'm going to read it in Arabic. Aynaz is actually going to translate it. قال النبي لا يحل الكذب إلا في ثلاث يحدث الرجل امرأته ليرضيها والكذب في الحرب والكذب ليصلح بين الناس. And I'm going to give you the stage to go ahead and answer that question from a Shia perspective.
Well, thank you. The hadith you just read, it basically says where Prophet Muhammad mentioned that lying is allowed in 3 occasions. One would be when you are trying to keep your wife happy. Second one would be when you're in war, again, with your enemy, which is an unbeliever. And then the third reason you can lie is if you're trying to fix up a relationship between 2 Muslims who are fighting. However, from the reality of it, this is not it. This doesn't wrap it up. There are so many other ways that a Muslim can lie or practice taqiyya. And the main reason, that the very first one that actually comes from Ali's hadith book, is when you are trying to convert a non-Muslim to Islam, you're allowed to lie or basically sugarcoat every law of Islam. That's the main part of taqiyya. And also, if a Muslim is caught in a situation that if he does admit to being a Muslim, he could lose his life and die, he is allowed to denounce or lie about his religion and completely deny the fact that he's a Muslim. He will be forgiven because he was trying to save his life. And yes, I would agree. One of the main reasons that Islam is spreading fast is the taqiyya, because they are using a lot of lies to tell people that it's a religion of peace, as we hear it everywhere. And that's the biggest taqiyya that's being used, because there's no peace within Islam. And then also, one more big practice of taqiyya they're doing is when it goes on the category of to make your wife happy. Basically, in order to make every woman happy, they are using taqiyya. They are lying about the rules and laws that apply to a woman under Sharia law.
Right. And I am going to add on to that from the Sunni perspective. We have, for example, verse 28 in chapter 3 of the Quran. And it says in Arabic, لا يتخذ المؤمنون الكافرين أولياء من دون المؤمنين ومن يفعل ذلك فليس من الله في شيء إلا أن تتقوا منهم تقاه ويحذركم الله نفسه وإلى الله المصير. And this is where the word taqiyya comes from. This is where the word taqiyya is extracted from. And in English it says, let not believers take disbelievers as allies rather than believers. And whoever of you does that has nothing with Allah. So I'm going to stop right here. So this first part is very important, even though it has nothing to do with taqiyya. This is one of many verses that forbids Muslims from taking allies or friends in non-Muslims. It is forbidden. This is not taken out of context. This is a direct order from Allah, the God of Muslims, to Muslims, except when taking precautions against them in prudence. So, you can pretend to befriend a non-Muslim as a precaution against them, to lie to them in order to get to some kind of goal. And Allah warned you of Himself, and to Allah is the final destination. So, as long as it's for the cause of Allah, you can lie. And they consider that prudence. And you have to understand the double meanings of everything in Islam. They call something mercy. It is not merciful to us. So they call it prudence, we call it lying. Another thing is chapter 16, verse 106. And in that chapter, in Arabic, it says, من كفر بالله من بعد إيمانه إلا من أكره وقلبه مطمئن بالإيمان ولكن من شرح بالكفر صدرا فعليهم غضب من الله ولهم عذاب عظيم. Whoever disbelieves in Allah after his belief, except for one who is forced, while his heart is secure in faith, but those who willingly open up their breasts to disbelieve, upon them is wrath from Allah, and for them is a great punishment. So if you feel like you are forced to do so, and this came down for Yasir, who was apparently tortured, and then he denounced Allah and Muhammad, but since he still believed in his heart, then it was all okay for them. It was all halal, which is permitted. This does not have to be a torture kind of situation. If a Muslim wants to flourish in a non-Muslim country, they're allowed to do it. If a Muslim feels like if they come out with their Islam and they come out with their beliefs, then people are going to not deal with them. That's also being considered forced. So there's a lot of different contexts to that. Volume 4, book 52, number 268 in Hadith, Muhammad says that war is deceit. Now, it is important to say, in the Hadith that Aynaz had pointed out, which talks about there's only 3 situations in which you can lie, and one of them is in war. Just because Muslims are not at war with us in our terms doesn't mean that they're not at war. Islam is in a constant state of war against non-Muslims. A country that is professed as Muslim, like Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, all those Muslim countries are called Dar al-Islam. Other countries that are not yet dominated by Islam are called Dar al-Harb, the house of war. So Muslims are in perpetual, constant war with non-Muslims. And it starts off dormant, and then it goes up all the way to an actual physical war. And we've seen this happen in their first futuhat and ghazwat, which are the first conquests of the first caliphate, and we're seeing it again with ISIS, and we're seeing it again here in the United States with CARE. But I feel like the evidence is overwhelming. You can go on forever about how lying is allowed in Islam. And there's actually several stories in the life of Muhammad where he, for example, the war is deceit hadith, is when Muhammad had been given safe passage by some non-Muslims. 30 men, unarmed men, gave them safe passage through an area. Muhammad went through, and then he turned back and killed them. And when they asked him why he killed them, he said, war is deceit. So he thought they were going to wage war against them, even though they were unarmed. So I don't know where that hallucination came from. He still killed them. Okay, so question number 2. What is the hijab, the purpose? Where is it mandated in the Quran and the Hadith? And I'm very interested to know for the Shia, what they think about this, because that in Iran I see a lot of pictures where they don't wear the hijab like right here. It's kind of here in the back, and sometimes they have a little thing coming out, feeling a little risque. So,
Well, yeah, they do in Iran, but if they do get arrested, then they pay the price. Because in Iran, the law says a woman is the description of hijab for a woman is you cover head to toe, and you can show from your chin to where your hair starts growing, which is this area, and side by side of your ear. So this circle is allowed to be showed, and also your hand is allowed to be shown. Other than that, it needs to be covered. You're not allowed to wear tight pants, denim pants. What else? The color is actually not allowed. So you can take the risk, and you can go ahead and basically wear the way they do it. But then there's a law. If you're arrested, your charge will be inappropriate outfit, and the punishment can go anywhere between 2 days in prison or between 35 to 75 lashes. So did they try to do it? Yes, I got arrested twice for my bad hijab in Iran.
why am I not surprised?
I know, and the bad hijab of mine wasn't even that bad. My overcoat was not below my knee, so when it was above my knee. And the law says if you're not wearing the burqa or the what is it called in Iran? I forgot. Chador. If you're not wearing that, you can still wear a loose pants and a loose overcoat, and it has to be below your knee. But mine was above, so I got arrested for that.
Let me ask you this. Is there like a hijab police in Iran? I know that sounds stupid, but like, is it the regular police that does that?
Oh, no. There is a specific group, which is combination of woman and man, and their job is to drive around all day or walk around. Some of them are on bikes, and they just monitor people's job. And not just women. In some cases, they might pick on a man too for what they're wearing, especially if they're wearing T-shirts with American or English logos on them and writing. They can arrest those men too. So that's their job. All day, all night, they're just driving around every street, and they pick you up if your hijab is not the way it should be. They just grab you. There are many videos on YouTube actually that shows that girls are being arrested, and they fight back because we all know as soon as we get into that car what's waiting for us. So people try to fight it. Normally fail, but at least they try. But yes, we actually have a group that is assigned to hijab. Their job is to drive around and arrest women who are not wearing a proper hijab. I know it sounds crazy, but we have it.
So what, for the Shia, what is the purpose of the hijab?
Okay. If I was about to go into the brainwise system of how they explain it, it would be to keep the woman's dignity and to keep the woman safe. But where it doesn't make sense is, why do I have to cover myself in order to be safe? Why is it that my hair or a tank top could cause a rape or abuse or molestation to me? That was my question at the early age. And then, well, obviously, as you know, I always go back to Quran. So I went back to Quran, and I figured, there is actually a verse in Quran where it says, "Oh Prophet, tell your wife, your daughter, and the women of believers to cover themselves, wear their hijab, to be known and not be abused." So Allah permitted man to abuse women who are not covering themselves up. So that's basically the purpose. To my knowledge, in reality of it, the purpose is to oppress women. Because again, in Shia, a woman was born as a seducer. A woman's job is to satisfy the man's need. Therefore, she needs to be covered up. If not, she can seduce the man. So we cover her up. That's a point of view of that's the way they explain it in Shia background. Of if you want to be safe and you want to keep your dignity and not be raped and abused, then wear the hijab. And if you don't, it's your fault if any harm comes your way. That's the Shia point of view.
For the Sunnis, it's pretty much the same. The hijab only has to cover your face right here. Don't put it down to here. It has to, as minimum as possible of your chin. So hijab literally means veil in English. It's a veil. So you veil, but it's customarily accompanied with loose garments that you wear all over your body. Up to the point where I was about 10 or 14 years old. Even when I was 17, I went back to the Middle East. I went to Syria, and you had Syrian women wearing like super tight clothes with a super tight hijab, showing a little bit of their hair, full makeup. So it's just kind of like a cultural thing. But slowly but surely, it became the abaya or jalabiyah or a dushdasha is a loose overdress that they wear. So that's what the hijab is. The purpose of the hijab came about when the story is that there was a Muslim woman who was standing at a well and she was washing herself or getting water, and this is at the time of Muhammad. And some Muslim men harassed her, mistaking her for a slave girl. And so then Allah thought it best, and the women went and complained to Muhammad, and the verdict was from Allah, because he has to, address this situation. The verdict was that the women have to cover themselves up. And this is in Al-Ahzab number 59. I'm about to read it for you. It says, يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهم من جلابيبهن ذلك أدنى أن يعرفن فلا يؤذين وكان الله غفورا رحيم. So, O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to bring down over themselves of their outer garments. That is more suitable, that they will be known and not be abused. And ever is Allah forgiving and merciful. Okay? This is also in Surah An-Nur, which is chapter 24, verse 30. It says, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ ذَلِكَ أَزْكَى لَهُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا يَصْنَعُونَ. Tell the believing men to reduce some of their vision and guard their private parts. That is purer for them. Indeed, Allah is acquainted with what they do. This is also mentioned in the same chapter, 24, verses 58 to 60, and then in Al-Ahzab, which is chapter 33, verses 32 to 33, and verses 53 to 55. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they all basically say the same thing, that the hijab and covering yourself up is coming from Allah. When a Muslim tells you that it's optional, they're lying. This is coming from their Allah. They have to cover up. The purpose is to differentiate between a Muslim and a non-Muslim, because a non-Muslim, it's okay to harass them, grope them, rape them. It's not okay for a Muslim to harass, grope, and rape a Muslim woman who is covered up. So that is the reason for wearing it. So when you see a Muslim woman who's covering herself up, understand that she's okay with you if you're a non-Muslim woman, or if you're a Muslim man or you're a non-Muslim man, she's okay with your daughters, your wives, your mothers all getting raped because she's covering herself up in approval of this crap. Because there's just really not another word for it. Where is it? Mandated in the Quran and the Hadith. We already talked about that. I think we covered that one. That really just ticks me off.
Yeah, but before you move on to next question, you brought up a good verse you just read on Surah 24 verse 30, if I'm not wrong, the very last one you read, where it says, tell the man to lower their vision and keep their private part covered. Can we quickly go over the next verse on that? 31. Because they say there's a equality of man and woman in Islam. And those two verses are the best example, because on the first one, Allah tells man to only cover their private part, and that would keep him pure. On the next one, 31, it basically gives a 6-line description of what a woman should do, and not to keep themselves pure, to keep themselves from being harassed and raped.
That's why I wasn't gonna read it, because this thing is like super long. Okay, so it's chapter 24, verse 31. It's right after the one for the man. It says, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغُضُّضُنَّ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظَنَّ فُرُوجِهِنَّ وَلَا يُبْدِيَنَّ زِينَتِهِنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَلِيَضْرِبَنَّ بِخَمْرِهِنَّ عَلَى جِيُوبِهِنَّ. Khamrihinna is usually a reference to the khimar, the one that covers the face. So a lot of scholars actually argue that you have to cover your face as well. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتِهِنَّ إِلَّا لِبُعُولَتِهِنَّ أَوْ أَبَائِهِنَّ أَوْ أَبَاءٍ بُعُولَتِهِنَّ وَأَبْنَائِهِنَّ وَأَبْنَاءِ بُعُولَتِهِنَّ. Thanks, Aynaz. أو إخوانهن أو بني إخوانهن أو بني إخواتهن أو نسائهن. It's like Dr. Seuss. There's a lot of rhyming. أو ما ملكت أيمانهم أو التابعين غير أولى الأربة من الرجال أو الطفل الذين لم يظهروا على عورات النساء ولا يضربن بأرجلهن ليعلموا ما يخفين من زينتهن وتوبوا إلى الله جميعا أيها المؤمنون لعلكم تفلحون. Translation.
Exactly.
And tell the believing women to reduce their vision and guard their private parts and not expose their adornments except that which necessarily appears thereof, and to wrap their head covers over their chests and not expose their adornments. And again, adornments is not a reference to like jewelry. It's a reference to their body, because in Islam, like Aynaz said, a woman's body is just adornments. It's just something to have fun with. It's a playground. Except to their husbands, their fathers, their husbands' fathers, their sons, their husbands' sons, their brothers' sons, their sisters' sons, their women, that which their right hand possesses. There's the slaves again. Or those male attendants having no physical desire, or children who are not yet aware of their private aspects of women, and let them not stamp their feet to make known what they conceal of their adornment. And turn to Allah in repentance, all of you, O believers, that you might succeed. So, little Fatima, if you show a little too much ankle, turn to Allah for repentance.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez. Lord have mercy on our souls.
When it comes to a woman, they even have a list of whom they can show their head to, which was a handful, right? About 7 category of people that can do that. When it comes to man, in general, only cover your private part. As long as your private part is not showing, you're good to go and you're pure. Here's your equality of man and woman in Quran to the eyes of Allah. I know that was a long thing. Oh, and by the way, for non-Muslims watching this, what Farrah and I just did on its own is punishable by, I guess, exactly. Because when you read verses of Quran, first of all, we had to be wearing our hijab, we had to do our prayer wash-up, and we can never make any pause to redirect a conversation to something else. You have to start from beginning to the end, and when you're done, you have to do all this, salawat and giving all the peace and everything to Muhammad. To that extent as the oppression. Even reading the Quran has to be in a specific way, or you might actually get killed for doing such disrespect as a woman to the Quran.
Oh my goodness, not just reading the Quran. God forbid if you put another book on top of the Quran. Can't have that. The book itself, the pages are holy. You can't just slap it on the table. Like if you come back from the mosque and you've had a hard day, you can't just throw your little Quran on the table. You have to place it somewhere high and away from. I mean, it's ridiculous.
do you have that on Sunni too? Because our Shia is that, first of all, the bigger the book, the more of a Muslim you are. No, seriously, the more big and fancy. Like, I remember a time that my mom, because she used to teach Quran, right? And she would actually spend a ridiculous amount of money that we didn't have on fancy Quran that was like handwritten, and the print on the cover was like covered with these. And I'm like, I don't have shoes to go to school. Why are you spending this much money on the Quran? She's like, it's gonna be rewarded. I'm like, yeah, you're rewarding the publishing company pretty much.
Yep, and
But-
the mosques and all of them people.
Exactly. So the bigger the book and the fancier the book, the better. And then also, where you put the Quran, it had to be facing the Mecca.
You know what? My family never did that. But then again, I've always said, I know all this stuff, and my family was very lenient. It just had to be, by itself, no other books on top of it, and up high somewhere. You can't put it somewhere low. All of that stuff. But yeah, I'm sure somebody did that too. Everything has to be towards Mecca.
Yeah, ours were always, there was a shelf for it because we had more than one Quran, but all the Qurans were in one rack facing Mecca. And I'm like, okay, I guess Allah need to see the books, so let's just leave them there. But yeah, anyways, didn't mean to sidetrack the conversation. So these little, sometimes I feel like these little things would never occur to anyone to ask because they're just so ridiculous. Nobody could even come up with the question. So we need to throw it in there as information, because I'm sure no human would think that, oh, how do you put the Quran in Islam? And if you read it, this and that, would something go wrong with your life? Yes. If you take a stop or a pause between reading your verse and laugh and go back to reading it, you can get beheaded for that, because you disrespected Muhammad and Allah and all that.
Well, I don't know if you had it, but I just remembered something so stupid. When we were kids, we weren't allowed to have our shoes flipped upside down. Like if you got home from school and you kicked your shoes off, if the bottom of your shoe, like literally this is your shoe, and if it was sitting like this, I just took it off my foot. If it's sitting like this on the floor, Allah has offended, because the bottom of the shoe is going up. So I got a butt whooping for that. And honestly, that was one of the parts where I was like, if that God is so small to be worried about my shoes, where they're facing, if I'm going to get a butt whooping for it, that's fine. I've got thicker skin than Muhammad's God. It's ridiculous.
Wow. Now, but we did have the teaching of how you sleep as a woman tells who you're going to end up being. Do you have that? The woman who sleeps on their back will always end up in heaven. The woman who sleeps on the left side, like on the side of left, this and that, the right, the chest, all that had rules. And I never forget, I'm like 8 years old in the class, teacher saying it. I had nightmares. I would wake up checking my position to see where I'm sleeping. And to this day, I cannot sleep on my chest, because apparently women who sleep on their chest will end up committing adultery, and they'll be stoned and they will go to hell. So I'm like, okay.
No, never heard that one. But, we had our own problems. Okay, let's go to the next one. Shia and Sunni difference. John asked this question, and we went into it a little bit last time. We talked about when the separation was. So if you're looking at to get when did the Muslims separate into Sunni and Shia? And by the way, Shias say that Sunnis are not Muslims. Sunnis say that Shia are not Muslims, and that's why they're killing each other in the Middle East. It's not because somebody has a higher moral ground or somebody has a better sense of justice. It's because they're each claiming that the other one is a kafir or an infidel. But other differences are, I'm trying to think of for me growing up, what was told with the Shia, awful things. I was telling Annie, I was like, I've always wanted to meet a Shia person. When I was a kid, I was like, do they look different? Like, is their hair all whacked up? They're all evil. They've got like blood running out of their eyes because of the way that everybody talked about them. Even my family is Sunni, and they always talked about Shia being like some kind of demonic force. But they're not. She looks beautiful. You're born into Shia, and the reason is it's not because of Islam. It's because Iranians, Persians are they're beautiful people. They just got by Islam. But I try to think the prayers are a little different.
Well, the body language is also different. I believe the prayer wash-up is different. And if I'm not wrong, on the arms and on the mask, I don't know what's called in English. Those are different. The body language of standing while doing the prayer is the Shia put their hands all the way down, side to the legs, and Sunni do the cross of the hand. Yeah, I'm trying to show it here. And I do believe, if I'm not wrong, the time of the prayer on the afternoon prayer and the Maghrib prayer, there's a 20 minutes difference between Shia and Sunni as far as the time of the start. Why do I know all of that? Don't roll your eyes, bro.
No, wait, this is interesting because we've had people accuse us saying you're not ex-Muslims, and we've had somebody accuse a dear friend of mine that he's not an ex-Muslim. And let me tell you, saying that you're an ex-Muslim is the stupidest lie you could possibly come up with. It's the stupidest lie because not only do you have death threats, not only are people going to be chasing you, being mean to you, all of that stupid stuff, and people are constantly saying, oh, you're just trying to get rich and famous. Trust me, nobody's getting rich or famous off of it.
Yeah, I actually, I had that video when I got really pissed off. I say, next time you refer to me as a Muslim or ex-Muslim, you're actually offending me. And somebody did ask me, say, why is that bad? I'm like, what do you mean, why is that bad? It's bad to be a Muslim. No, it's horrible to be a Muslim. Because if you're talking against Islam, how do you sit there and call yourself a Muslim? It doesn't even make sense. As far as being ex-Muslim means you actually practice, you believe, you had the faith. I didn't. The only reason I know it is because I was taught. And, the only reason I did it back then, I didn't have a death wish. So I just went down and up, do the prayer. And the good thing is when women do the prayer, I don't know if it's the same in Sunni, but in Shia, the men are supposed to say four parts of the prayer. They say it loudly, so you hear them. But the woman can never, because a woman's voice should never be heard. You always read it inside. Nobody hears you reading it, so nobody even knew if I'm reading the verses in the surah or not. I was just going up and down, up and down, up and down.
It's exercise 5 times a day.
Except I hated the morning one because it was way too early and I would always get the kick in the back, like, get up, your prayer's late. Honestly. But other than that, yeah, it was a good exercise to keep going.
It helps with your posture, I think. Except for the whole, you're reciting demonic verses and that really depresses you. Your posture's kind of okay. But let me see. Shia, you guys are not you. The Shia people, they put is there I heard there's a warm stone or a hot stone that they put on the prayer rug so they can get that indent in their head. Is that right?
It's not necessarily the warm or hot, but there's a stone. We do have a stone. It's not necessarily hot. I do know some of the leaders and extremists like my father would use the hot because they say it's a sacrifice, that they want to feel the sacrifice, because back in the time, Muhammad and Ali living in the middle of nowhere, really hot places, they would have to put their head on the stone and it would by nature be very hot. So to recreate that pain, actually this is stupid, but anyways, to recreate that pain and feel the pain of Muhammad and Ali, they would warm it up. Like my dad would always have it on a hot bag. And then when he started his prayer, he would take it off the bag and put it. So yeah, that's why a lot of extremist Shia, when you see them, they have this marking on their forehead that shows the exact size of their prayer stone. But yeah, we have that. And actually, that stone is so much respected. Like when you're folding your prayer, whatever it's called, back together, it has to be centered, and then you have to fold the wrap in a specific way. Like seriously, doing one prayer is at least 2 hours time to do the whole thing properly. And let's not even mention the heavy weight of the hijab, a specific hijab that's for the prayer. You're 9 years old, probably, I don't know, 4'2", 4'1", and you're bending with this. Actually, I tripled over my hijab at least 10 times when trying to do the sujda. I'm like, can I take this off and just do this exercise? But yeah, we have this stone thing. And the reason for it is, as I said.
Well, I know Sunnis some of them do it, but they do it kind of in secret because they believe that if you do your prayers every day, then you will naturally get a mark on your forehead, and that mark means that you're devout. Because and for people that don't know, what we're talking about is in the salah, or the prayer that Muslims do, you bow your head down and it literally hits the floor in the prayer. So Sunnis believe that if you hit your head against the floor enough times in your prayers, then you will get a mark on your head, and that is a mark that you're devout. Some people like to expedite the process. They use that rock to do it, but since they're Sunni and not Shia, they don't want to give any insinuation that they might be Shia or converted, so they keep it in secret. But I've seen it, and you can kind of tell, because you can tell somebody's been or bombarding their head with a hot rock. So that's one of the differences. The other difference is the 12th Imam. You have the 12th Imam. Sunnis think that's, fairy tales. What's going on with the 12th Imam?
Well, basically, where the separation of Sunni and Shia started was, with Abu Bakr and Ali. Ali started the Shia, and how it worked was, Ali said that the leadership basically needs to stay within the family of Muhammad. So Ali had two sons, Hussein and Hassan, and when Ali died, another fight started. Now, who's going to be the leader? Because I have two sons now. So Hussein, basically, they split the power. It wasn't a fight, but they split the power. So Hussein took some responsibility and Hassan took some responsibility. And from there on, it just continued to the next generation and the next generation, until it got to the 12th Imam. And they basically just, which is Mahdi, is the 12th Imam, and he just disappeared one day. Mahdi disappeared before the age of, marriage and having a son to continue the imamat is the word we use for it. So he disappeared, and they started saying, oh, here's what's going to happen. So now Allah decided to take over the leadership. You're on your own. You have been taught enough. You have enough tools to use and be good Muslims. Go on and go on and go on. And one day, Mahdi will appear again and will rescue all of you from the bad, evil word of non-Muslim. And he will kill all the non-Muslims, and he will create an Islamic planet for you. And he will stay with you, and the generation will continue from there on. So yeah, in a way, it is a fairy tale. You think about it, it's a fairy tale. But they just wanted to... They basically didn't trust, I guess they didn't trust Shia people enough to let them be without Imam. So they kept going until they kind of run out of generation-related gene people to continue forcing the idea on people.
Okay, so I've also read and heard in places that there is a process to where Shia think that they can expedite the return of this Imam.
Yes, there is.
Okay, so that's true, that if they, something about if they create enough chaos in the world, then the Imam will come back. The Imam that went missing, that went MIA, will come back?
Okay, so basically, it's in Shia, they say if the war between Muslim and non-Muslim gets really, as you said, chaotic, and it gets into a bloodbath when more than needed Muslims are being killed and slaughtered, Mahdi will have no choice but to appear.
And this is a prevalent belief in Iran. Like, this is what the majority believes.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is. When Supreme Leader of Iran gives every Friday morning prayer speech, every week he just keeps saying, we are getting ready. Mahdi is about to appear. People, get your act together. We are going to meet him soon. They literally believe, because of the whole Middle Eastern chaos going on, he's about to arrive any day now.
So, have you ever seen the Powerpuff Girls, the cartoons?
I think I have.
Okay, there's like a little monkey, Mojo Jojo. I swear there's a point to this. Mojo Jojo always wants to take over the world, right? He's always like, I'm going to take over the world. That's what that Iranian guy reminds me of. He reminds me of Mojo Jojo. My point is, we just gave those people nukes. The ones that want chaos over the world.
We did.
Wow. Let that resonate. Just to the viewers, just let that seep into your thought. Okay, so that's really what it is. One more question. Why do the Shia do the beating and the sword thingy? That's painful.
Oh, it's the same reason they do use a prayer stone. In Shia belief, pretty much you need to be miserable. I'm not kidding. You need to be miserable. So what better way to be miserable and pure, because it comes with a lot of hadith actually. Khomeini, the first supreme leader guy, the Indian guy who suddenly became a Muslim extremist, came and took over Iran for some reason. He actually, on his book, because in Iran, one thing you need to remember is people in Iran, they have to follow Quran, Hadith, and then they follow what's called Rasalah. Rasalah is a law, Islamic law written by the supreme leader. So the supreme leader writes a book where it will make a connection between Quran, Hadith, and the punishment of the government. So he says, let's say it says, based on this verse on the Quran and this hadith of Ali, Jafar, Hussein, or any of those 12 imam, if you're not wearing a proper hijab, you're guilty. Therefore, with that being said, as a supreme leader of this country, I will decide that the punishment for wearing a bad hijab is 75 lashes. Okay? And then he also gives you different ways of, how to deal with a non-Muslim, how to deal with this and that. So it's basically a connection between all those. Now, Khomeini, when he was writing his Risalah, there's a chapter that for next time I can actually bring it and read it to you, but it does literally says that in order to be pure, you need to avoid entertainment and happiness outside of religion. Equals be miserable. One of the reasons music is illegal in Iran, unless the music has been made with traditional instrument, which, trust me, I don't know if you heard of traditional Iranian music. As soon as the music starts, you want to sit there and cry your heart out. The lyrics cannot be related to any kind of love story, any woman name, any man name, anything like that. It can only be related to religion, to faith of Islam, or imams. You can sing for your imams. Okay. So in order to avoid that happiness, what they created was they came and said, we need to relieve the pain of all of our 12 imams. And they basically leave it, they all had pains. So we use the hot stone to remember what Ali and Muhammad went through trying to do their prayers. Now, Hussein was killed on Ashura by Omar's army.
Wait, it wasn't Umar bin Khattab?
Sorry, not Omar. Yeah, it was Omar. I'm right. Yeah, Omar the Sunni Caliph.
Umar, oh, really? I was taught that the Shia beheaded Hassan Hussein.
No.
And that's why they beat themselves.
Oh, no.
It wasn't the Shia that did that?
No. The version we were taught is that Hussein decided to end this Sunni Shia separation and merge them all into one united Islamic society. So he went and negotiated with Omar to let's merge them all under one, this and that. And Omar disagreed. No, he agreed to terms that if Hussein would have stepped down from Imamat and then let Omar deal with it, they can be fine. Obviously, Hussein is not about to do that. So Hussein and Hassan, brothers, they planned a sneak attack on Omar's, let's say, where he was living. What is it called? Omar's...
his little house, whatever.
Exactly, house. One of the Shia people within Hussein's army was a double agent. He goes and tells Omar what's happened. That tomorrow night at this time, Hussein and his army are going to attack you. So Omar, being whomever he was, he decided to beat them to it. The next day, in middle of the day, they attack Hussein. And now, the idiotic part of it is Hussein's army were only 72 people. And Omar's army was the entire country. So I don't know what Hussein was thinking, but anyways, he was thinking whatever. So Omar and his army basically come into the middle of nowhere as they were standing, planning and preparing for the attack of the night. They just cut them off guard. And this fight takes a full day until Ashura noon. So in Shia, they call it Tasua and Ashura. Tasua is the day that Omar start the attack. But then he says, in order to punish you, to my satisfaction for thinking you can sneak on me, I will kill your people one by one. So it takes Omar 24 hours to get to Hussein and finally kill Hussein. And in middle of killing them one by one, Hussein and the rest of army people who were still alive were mourning this. So they were beating themselves, right? So Shia people redo it. Be miserable, let's put it that way. They redo the Taswa and Ashura Day, where they cut themselves because Omar's army started, instead of beheading the soldiers, they would cut them in half on top of head. So that's why Shia people cut themselves in the middle of the head and, beat themselves, whatever. A bunch of barbaric, miserable scenes to be recreated. That's why they do it.
Wow. Okay. Sunnis don't do any of that.
I know.
Not the cutting, not the self-beating, none of that stuff. Again, it's Shia is a lot darker, if that can even exist, than Sunnis. But we're going to move on to another form of violence, and that's violence against women.
Whoa!
Wow. Talk about your big subjects. And these are all questions that have been, submitted through several different people, so we're not putting any names on them. Violence against women is 100% permitted in Islam. 100%. And right now, we're just going to cover violence against Muslim women. This isn't even violence against non-Muslim women. The Demis and the Sabaya and the Jawari. We're just going to cover your regular Muslim covered good woman. That's what we're going to cover. Chapter 4, verse 34 says, رجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم فالصالحات قانتات حافظات للغيب بما حفظ الله واللاتي تخافون نشوزهن فعظوهن واهجروهن في المضاجع واضربوهن فإن أطعنكم فلا تبغوا عليهن سبيل إن الله كان عليا كبيرا. Translation is, men are in charge of women by right of what Allah has given one over the other and what they spend for their wealth. So righteous women are devoutly obedient, guarding in absence what Allah would have them guard. But those wives from whom you fear arrogance, and the word is not actually arrogance. The word can be arrogance, it can be retaliation, it can be just not wanting to do something that the husband wants them to do, whether that's in bed or cleaning the house or even leaving the house, just stepping outside of your door. Not even going anywhere, just step outside your door without the permission of your husband. From fear of arrogance, first advise them, then forsake them in bed and strike them. But if they obey you, seek no means against them. Indeed, Allah is exalted and grand. How loving. I'm feeling the love right now. Thank you for stopping from beating me after I obey you. Ha! Let me tell you something.
What happens if you don't?
What?
See, what happens if you don't?
You keep getting beaten.
Until you do not breathe any longer.
Yeah. That's what happens. And if you want to talk about hadith, I'm going to read this hadith in Arabic and then I'm going to read the translation in English. Hadith, again, is anything that Muhammad said. And this is, Sunni and Shia agree on this. There's no, this is one thing they agree on. رواه البخاري أن رفاعة طلق. This is volume 7, book 72, number 715. رفاعة طلق امرأته فتزوجها عبد الرحمن بن الزبير القرظي. قالت عائشة وعليها خمار أخضر فشكت إليها وأردتها خضرت بجلدتها. فلما جاء رسول الله والنساء ينصر بعضهن بعض قالت عائشة: ما رأيت مثل ما يلقى المؤمنات لجلدها أشد خضرا من ثوبها. قال: وسمع أنها قد أتت الرسول فجاء ومعه ابنان له من غيرها. قالت: والله ما لي إلا من ذنب إلا أن ما معه ليس بأغنى عني من هذه. وأخذت هدبة من ثوبها فقال: كذبت والله يا رسول الله، إني لأنفضها نفض الأديم، ولكنها ناشز تريد رفاعة. فقال الرسول: فإن كان ذلك لم تحلي له أو لم تصحي له حتى يذوق من عسيلتك. قال: وأبصر معه ابنين. فقال: بنوك هؤلاء؟ قال: نعم. قال: هذا الذي تزعمين ما تزعمين فوالله لهم أشبه به من الغراب بالغراب. In English, Rif'a divorced his wife, Hudba, whereupon Abdul Rahman married her. Aisha, the one that Muhammad had fun with at 9 years old, that's Aisha. Aisha said that the lady came wearing a green veil and complained to Aisha of her husband and showed her green spots on her skin caused by beating. It was the habit of the ladies to support each other, so when Allah's apostle came, Aisha said, I have not seen any women suffer as much as the believing women. This is important. Aisha, the wife of Muhammad, said, I have not seen any women suffer such as the believing women. Look, her skin is greener than her clothes with bruises. When Abdul Rahman heard that his wife had gone to the Prophet, he came with his 2 sons from another wife, and she said, Hudba said, by Allah, I have done no wrong to him, but he is important and is as useless to me as this, holding up her clothes. She's saying he's impotent. Abdul Rahman said, by Allah, O Allah's apostle, she has told a lie. I am very strong and can satisfy her, but she is disobedient and wants to go back to Rif'a, her first husband. Allah's apostle said to her, if that is your intention, then know that it is unlawful for you to remarry Rif'a unless Abdul Rahman has had sexual intercourse with you. Then the Prophet saw 2 boys with Abdul Rahman and asked him, are these your sons? Abdul Rahman said, yes. The Prophet said to Hudba, you claim what you claim, but by Allah, these boys resemble him as a crow resembles a crow. What happened here is a woman got beat. She went to Muhammad for help. She told him that she had not wronged him. She had tried to sleep with him. He's impotent. He's not able to have intercourse with her. So he beat her. Aisha testifies. She says that no women suffer as much as Muslim women. And this is the religion that supposedly, this tells you day and night that Islam treats women the best in the world. So she's beaten, she's bruised. She tells her story. All the man had to do was come in and say and swear that he can do it, and Muhammad sends her back with her husband. It's simple. It's not complicated. I haven't taken it out of context. There's no different interpretation. Let's keep it simple. Let's not get stupid. Let's keep it simple. This is what happened. So yes, it is okay to beat your wife. It is okay to do whatever it is that you want to do. You, Aynaz, with the Shia, I know it's pretty much the same, but there's some differences, right?
Well, pretty much it is the same. That it goes back to the Quran, as you referred, because a woman in Shia also, because a woman is counted as a half human, her testimony is never taken as a real testimony unless she has another woman to back her up or another man to back her story up. The same story happened with my court date. When I went to court trying to get a divorce, because, I actually walked in the same thing with a dislocated shoulder and a bruised face. And the only thing I heard from the judge was, well, you should start listening to your husband, and I'm sure he's going to stop beating you. And I was sent back. Same thing. More, a few thousand years later, but that was the same thing. His testimony was taken over mine, even though I had bruised face and dislocated shoulder. To judge, it was okay that I was beat up because I didn't obey him to his satisfaction. because it's on Shia part. I don't know if it's the same with Sunni, but it's not even just obeying the man. It's you have to obey him to his satisfaction. Like there has been many cases of women, actually mainly younger girl, died or suffered huge internal damages because the satisfaction part of their so-called husband in sexual intercourse was not met yet, and the man was not charged. You know, she died. Oops, I was trying to be satisfied, and there is no justice for that. Same thing applies in Shia books as well. You either obey, or he has the right to beat you until you obey, or he has the right to kill you because you're his property, right? So.
Right, and this isn't something that just happened in the past and is no longer happening in the Muslim world today. Women abuse is beyond heartbreaking when you look at any Islamic culture. And I'm not talking about just in Pakistan. I'm not talking about just in Jordan or Dubai or wherever it is, or Lebanon or Syria or any of the Muslim, or Iran. I'm talking about your next door Muslim neighbor. Talking about Dearborn, Michigan, Paterson, New Jersey, London, Paris, wherever Muslims are, they obey their own laws. Very rarely will you have a Muslim woman actually call the police on her husband, if ever, because they go to the sheikh, they go to the imam. Anytime you see a mosque sprout out, Aynaz and I have said this till we are blue in the face. When you see a mosque sprout in your community, understand Sharia law is there. They are now no longer part of the American justice system or the European justice system. Now they are officially going to the mosque. This area has been dominated. Sharia law is running. But I wanted to point out, this book is called Frozen Tears by Lina Aziz, for somebody who says, I don't know how to speak Arabic. It's right here. She talks about, she was in a Muslim country. She was a Christian convert from Christianity to Islam. And her husband beat her on the first day of Ramadan, and he beat her in the face. And in general, for the Sunnis, you don't beat your wife in the face because Muslims are merciful. You only beat her under the neck, so anywhere that's covered up. I'm sorry. That's the mercy of Islam. You only get beaten. Darib, the beating is under the neck. So he beats her and he bloodies her face on the first day of Ramadan, and she goes to the sheikh and she says, you know, I didn't do anything. This is what he did. And the reason could be anything. She oversalted the food, but she hadn't done anything to anger him. She just didn't satisfy him, whatever it was that her husband wanted. The sheikh said to the guard at the mosque, go get him. Go pull him out by his ear if you have to, but bring him to the mosque. Because for Sunnis, you're not allowed to beat her on the face. And he says, how dare he beat you on the face on the first day of Ramadan? So he goes and he brings in the guy, and he says, how could you do this to your wife? And the guy says, she names him Sabri in the book, and the guy says, she's a Christian convert and she cursed Allah on the first day of Ramadan. The sheikh looks at her and says, go, I can't do anything for you. The same situation that happened with Muhammad. She said something, he said something, his word automatically trumps her, and the punishment is she got beat in the face. How do I know that this is true? Because I lived it. So that's how I know this story is true. I've lived it. So it still happens. I beg you, if you see kids with marks, if you see women with marks, screw political correctness, call the police, intervene, say something, do something, because this shouldn't happen in our country. It shouldn't happen anywhere, but it definitely shouldn't happen in our country. Okay, looking right now, and that pretty much covers the violence against women. We're going to go into sex slavery. We're going to go into all kinds of different things when it comes to women. We also want to cover non-Muslim women. And again, our next few episodes are covered with questions. We already have enough questions for the next couple of episodes. But please continue to send them in. Anything else you want to close out with, Aynaz?
Yeah. You already said it, but I always say, aside the fact that it's great to do something and make those calls, I think everybody needs to start scheduling a specific hour, at least half an hour a day, to get educated. There is so much to learn, especially considering they have the tool called taqiyya. You have to learn a lot before you can actually understand what you're facing. What I realized, Farrah, lately, easily the last 2-3 weeks, what I see is that a lot of people actually are falling back into believing them as victims. They're playing the victim card, and our people in America are falling for it quickly and fast. So I really suggest people start educating. Again, it's not about me or you or anyone else's name for that matter, even though we're trying to get them famous. But they can pick anyone who's reliable. And as you said, pick people who leave that, so they don't have to guess or go study it themselves, come back and give you an answer. Pick people who leave that so they can give you details in reality of it without sugarcoating it. And get yourself educated, because unless you know, this concept of Islam is really complicated. It's way beyond what a lot of people out there think it is. It's not a simple religion of peace. No, it's a very complicated ideology. There's a lot of politics involved, especially, as I said, on the Shia part. So please do put your time into educating yourself. And as Farrah said, send any question, the smallest question, even if you think that's just ridiculous to exist, don't hesitate. Send that. And if it doesn't exist, all we say is, well, no, that doesn't exist. But you never know. It might actually give you a sense of knowing something to save somebody's life. That's not an over-exaggeration. Really, the smallest thing to know could help you save a woman or a children's life.
It can. I agree with you. And we have to work together. We can't, Aynaz and I and all the other ex-Muslims, we can't carry the load. And we hope that what we do doesn't fall on deaf ears. And share this video as much as you possibly can. You know, we do the research. We give you exact Quran verses, we give you exact hadith, we're giving you all the tools you could possibly need, and you can get in contact with either one of us through our Facebook pages or through voxpopulinews.net, and you can reach out to us and ask us any questions, and we will try our best, because it is our life mission. It is not our business. This is not something we make money on. This is something that we do out of a moral conviction and a responsibility, because we have attained freedom. And now we're looking to make sure that our country does not fall into the slavery that is Islam. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Aynaz, thank you for being with me again. My war buddy, my best pal. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. And we're going to record another episode next week, so you'll have it next week as well. My name is Farrah Prudence with Aynaz Anni Cyrus, and we're with voxpopulinenews.net. Go out there, be a little rebellious, throw PC out of the window, and let's get educated, and let's make sure that America stays free. Have a great day.
Well, hello everybody, it's Anni Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com.
This is Brannon House Live. Whether the issue is law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, government, or national security, Brannon brings the issues of the day into clear focus through the lens of a Judeo-Christian worldview. And now, here is your host, Brannon House.
And welcome to the broadcast. On this Monday night, July 13th, 2026, we have breaking news. Strikes have begun on Iran by the U.S. Military. There are explosions being reported throughout the Middle East, actually. Anni Cyrus is going to join us. Anni also believes that Senator Lindsey Graham may have indeed been killed by the IRGC. Now, we reported tonight, and others are reporting that he had an issue with his heart, aortic dissection. But others are saying, no. It was likely IRGC. They maybe got to him with some kind of dart gun or poison when he was overseas. We have some video footage on that type of technology going all the way back to 1975. I want to play tonight. Anni says the IRGC, when they say they've killed someone, they've done it. They don't mess around. They don't generally lie. Now, we have been reporting here for years that the American people should get ready for political assassinations, and particularly of high visible Zionist and Christian Zionist. It seems as though our warnings, sadly, are now coming to bear. There is a hit list. There's a kill list. We have videos. IRGC is putting out these Lego videos. We have several to play for you tonight because they are now openly targeting several Americans. Many of the names you will know. So that is tonight with Anni Cyrus. Then we're going to be joined by Dr. James Thorpe. Our blood supply is at great risk. Only about 20% of us did not get that shot. You know which one I'm talking about, right? And as a result, the blood supply in America is reportedly greatly tainted. What are the side effects? I've read a report tonight that was given to me in advance to see. So we're getting a little bit of a scoop tonight on this topic with our friend, OBGYN, Dr. James Thorpe, on the great national security threat related to our blood supply and the inability of people to store up their own blood or that of a family member so that they don't get tainted blood. We have a lot to get to tonight. Before we do, we have something here I want to show you. Here is, can I get volume 1, guys? Volume 1's down there. You guys have seen me showing volume 1, but I want to show it again. Woo! This one's heaviest of them all. Here is volume 2 of the Revelation commentaries. Now, this is not how you're going to get it. You're going to get it hardcover, brown, gold print. This is just my double-sided printing of the finished product for me to continue reading through. Not that it really matters at this point because I can't do much about it because it is gone to the printer. But I wanted to have it. And that's volume 2 right there. I think volume 2 might be the thickest of all the volumes, Logan. Logan did a beautiful job laying all these out.